Welcome back to Style Points. Style Points is a talk show segment that I did in collaboration with Visionary Visual Arts in 2023. I interviewed 4 student headliners and one of our headlining artists, Scory. And it's back. Now I know you must be thinking, well, for this segment that's been on hiatus for a little bit, who are you bringing back as your first guest? I'm glad that you asked. Today we have a very special guest. She's a woman of many talents, including being on-air talent for Nittany Talk, being a costume designer for Penn State's Thespian Society, and what we're here to talk about today, the executive producer of Penn State Network Television's newest talk show, At the Desk. Today, speaking with me today, we have Katie Schreiner. Katie, how are you today?
I'm doing so good. How are you today, Dillon?
I'm good. Hot under these lights. But
very.
Still good. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk. So, for those of us who don't know, what is At the Desk? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
At the Desk, it is Penn State Network Television's newest talk show.
Mm-hmm.
We are covering all things history, crime, and politics. It originally started as an idea we had on Nittany Talk with having our politics panel and our crime panel, which I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And then we realized that it didn't really fit there, and Nittany Talk was more so an entertainment and comedy-based show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took it and I formed a new little idea, and now we have the show, which already has episodes premiered. We have articles that we have on our website. We've really grown within the past month.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say, like, how did the idea start? Like, when did you first get the idea of, like, we can make this a thing?
Well, the idea first started actually back in October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an idea I had in the back of my head, like, this doesn't really fit in here. Maybe it needs its own show. I always thought that the politics panel was something that could grow and thrive on its own. It
Mm-hmm.
just needed a platform to do it on. And then we got told, hey, politics needs to go some other place. It's not fitting with the show.
Mm-hmm.
And right away, I knew exactly what I needed to do. So me and Ryan Lowy, our crime producer,
Mm-hmm.
came up with the name At the Desk, and we pitched it, and they loved it. They thought it was an amazing idea.
Yeah, I think being a part of Nittany Talk, the politics panel and the crime panel too, they're both really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And their new ideas. The politics panel, not more so, that started more so last year, but the crime panel especially were definitely more interesting ideas. And I guess I never really thought about whether or not it fit or not, because it was still able to stand on its own.
Right.
So I'm glad that you guys were able to get that space where you can have your own show and more time to breathe and more
Right.
time to focus on that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you have a talented crew, whether it's from your other producers, your studio crew, your talent. I mean, you have kind of like a who's who of Belisario and other people's talents.
Right.
So how do you feel working with such like an amazing crew?
It's the best thing. When we first pitched the idea, it was fully just me on
Mhm.
it. It was Olivia, who created the politics panel in the first place, just telling me, hey, this is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Go with it. Figure out what you think is best for it. And I reached out to a bunch of different people, journalism majors. We have some criminology majors, some
Mhm.
forensic science majors, a bunch of different people who are all passionate. That was the one thing I cared about the most when choosing people, was if they were passionate or not. Because a show can only be as good as the person who is least passionate about it, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. I definitely feel that once you're passionate about something, it shows. You can kind of tell when somebody's like phoning it in or doing this for whatever reason. But if it's something that they're passionate about, you'll definitely get the best out of it for sure. Now, I've known you or known of you for around like a year
Years.
now. And I know as the editor of Nittany Talk, I remember there was one episode, I think in your freshman year and my sophomore year, where you were just doing like everything for the episode, like whether it's the intro, like hosting the segments. And I personally thought like, damn, like he's really like throwing himself in there a lot. And it showed initiative. And now fast forward, and now you're the executive producer of your own talk show.
Yeah.
So have you always been that type of person to take initiative, or is that something that you've had to grow into over the years?
I think that's always been something I'm super into. Like, I just gravitate towards being someone who wants to be out there, wants to go for the gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all started like when I was young, just being like, oh, this is something that interests me. Now let me become the best at this thing that I can possibly be. And so last year on Knit Me Talk, seeing that we didn't have many talent at the time, it was a very small production. I got the opportunity to work as a talent and figure out, is this something I want to do with my life? So my recent change to a broadcast journalism major really made sense when I came down to it.
What were you before?
Before I was education. So I was secondary education history. I wanted to be a high school history teacher, which looking back now, why?
I love my high school history teacher.
I love my high school history teachers. But I'm very clearly like a broadcast person. Like looking back now, like it's clear that that's where I thrive. Obviously, I'm a sophomore, and even before I changed my major, I got made into an EP. I'm a producer for Knit Me Talk now. I was on all of the episodes of Knit Me Talk last year. Like, it's clearly something I thrive and I succeed at.
So, was it hard to kind of switch majors and switch lanes from, okay, because I imagine you went into college like, yeah, this is what I want to be, and then, I mean, thankfully in like your sophomore year, some people figure it out a lot later, but was that hard for you to switch majors?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm very lucky that because I had Knit Me Talk and at that desk, I'm already kind of a well-known person in Belisario. A lot of people in College of Comms already know me because of those shows. But if I didn't have anyone, it would have been such a hard switch because the first thing they'll tell you when you enter the College of Comm here at Penn State is you need internships, you need clubs, you need this, you need that.
Bob Martin.
That man will tell you everything you need. He wants those extracurriculars on that resume. And so I was very fortunate that I already had some of those under my belt. But I know if anyone else was in my shoes at the time, that would be hard. It's not an easy process.
So outside of school and at the desk, I know that you have a passion for theater. You're part of some theater clubs here. Can you describe like how your passion for theater started?
So my passion for theater started very young. It's just always been something I've been interested in middle school. My mom was like ready to sign me up for the choir class when we were picking my schedule, and I'm like, no, there's a theater class, put me in that. And I always gravitated towards my teachers that were in charge of the theater club or in charge of the musical or something. And so while in 7th grade I may have played a squirrel in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
a very important
integral role. I had to put Veruca salt in that trash can, and that's all that matters. But like going from that to now taking my love for theater and using it more in a directing sense, and even taking theater a little bit and putting it into broadcast, it's allowed me to appreciate theater more, not so much as an actor, but as someone who takes charge. And I think it's helped me grow a lot with broadcast.
So is that something that you're going to continue to do alongside like being a broadcast journalism major and being engulfed in Belisario? Yeah,
I'm currently a theater minor, and so I'm planning on incorporating the two with each other. I definitely want to get more emphasis specifically with Knit Me Talk right now, because we're trying to look for people who are talent who want to show us maybe their band or their music or whatever. I think putting the two together is really something that I can take charge of and something that I want to do to help the show grow.
Right. And I also know, because of your pre-interview form, and also because last year, I know you're a huge fan of Drag Races.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And RuPaul's Drag Race, a new season has just recently come out. Have you watched?
I've been watching.
Been watching?
I've been watching. I saw last night's episode.
How was it?
I'm disappointed, but I won't spoil. I won't spoil.
So, what is it that you like about drag racing? Because I know for me specifically, it's something that I admire because it's such a creative way to express yourself. So what is it that you like about it?
Drag Race, it was just always, like throughout middle school and high school, I was always a very creative kid, and when I found Drag Race, I believe my freshman or sophomore year of high school, it kind of just clicks like, this is something that's so creative, and it's thinking outside the box while allowing so much choice. And I love when you're able to go to a creative outlet and you have choice. You are able to choose how something comes out. You get to fine tune the product, and that's a large part of drag, is getting to do all of that. And as someone who is a part of the LGBTQ community, it's something very important to me to see that representation in the media. And so shows like RuPaul's Drag Race, well, it may not be everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
It is helping put out this art form into the media, and I think it's beautiful.
I agree, and I think that drag races get misunderstood a lot, especially for the reasoning behind it. And I think that it's something that should be, I guess, more widely accepted.
I agree.
Or just something that's just not so harshly judged. 'Cause I feel like when people see like, oh, you do drag, it's like, it kind of has a negative connotation for most people, and I don't think that should be the case.
No, I definitely agree. I think that a lot of times in media it's thought of as immature, or like, oh, you're a drag queen or a drag king, like, you can't get a real job then, because they'll see this and they'll think you're not set for the role, set for the part. And I think that's such a negative connotation to think about things. And I think what I enjoy outside of my work should not impact my work.
Right.
Because they're two separate things. And if I were to be a drag queen or a drag king, that should in no way impact what broadcast journalism jobs I get in the future.
Right. So going back to At the Desk, what are your goals for this semester? Because you guys are a new show, and being a new show is something it's really exciting. There's a sense of, not that we don't know what we're doing, but it's like, where can we really take this? Because I know with Nittany Talk, I was with Nittany Talk from their first episode.
Right.
And I had that similar feeling, because back then most of us were freshmen, so we really didn't know what we were doing. And then from then to now, and seeing how it grows, it was something that was really amazing and something that's really special. So what do you have in mind for this semester for At the Desk?
So for this semester, we've already hit a lot of goals. Like our first episode, we did not think it would be our first episode. We went into the studio thinking, this is just a trial. Maybe we'll get some good clips for like the intro or just little things. And getting to put that final product out and air it, and getting to hear the feedback, getting to hear Penn State alumni, current students, my family say how interested they are in it and how great of a product I think it's turned out to be. I think it's wonderful. I think it's so amazing that we've gotten to do that. But going forward, I think our goal is to be able to go outside the box and take these ideas that you hear them over and over again. Like, you hear about the crime cases going on, you hear about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, you hear about Jeffrey Epstein, you hear about what's going on in the media, but taking these ideas and showcasing them in a new light, but also taking these ideas and talking about them in a way that you aren't going to see somewhere else. So I know soon we're going to start doing TV and movie reviews on shows that are claiming historical accuracy, such as The Crown. It claims that it's historically accurate, but there are so many things that aren't. So we want to talk about what's not historically accurate and why those changes were made.
I think there's a space for that, for sure, especially with the films, because there are a lot of biopics coming out.
There's so many biopics. It's the whole industry.
It's kind of a bit too much.
A little.
But if it's well made, then I think it's really good. I think some biopics, like the one about Jackie Robinson, I think that one was really well made. And
I agree.
Like, there's so many well made things, and I definitely think that having that space to talk about it and to see if it's historically accurate is something it has a space, not only in the Penn State Network, but just in general. And I'm glad that you guys are trying to fill in that space and provide something new for the network, because it's really great. Well, do you have anything else to say, whether about the show, Are you excited? Like,
Yeah, so we have a lot of big things coming out soon. Obviously, we have a month and then spring break hits, and then after that, it's kind of just 2 months and then we're out of school. So these next 3 months or so, there will be a lot of content coming out. If you stay tuned on our website, we will have so many articles coming out. We already have 2 up about the New Hampshire primaries and the Iowa caucus that are so informational. It's so good to see people's opinions about it, especially since we are currently in an election season.
Right.
So I definitely recommend checking that out. But look forward to some new content. I know we just did some photo shoots this last week with our panels, and those photos, I'm editing them right now. They're coming out this next week. So
I'm excited to see them.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's going to be so much fun.
And then final question. Award show. Where are we gonna be? Should we see At the Desk there?
At the Desk will be at that award show. You bet. We will be there. We will be present. And hopefully we get an award or 2 under our belt.
Fingers crossed. It's tough competition.
Tough.
The network, it's growing. Yeah. Everybody's so talented.
Culture Central sweep last year.
Oh my God. It was crazy. It was crazy. You guys don't see this at home. Our cameraman Drew, he's also a part of Culture Central, just wooed in excitement. But yeah, like there's so much talent across the network. But I'm glad to say, welcome to the network as your own show and entity, because we're very glad to have you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So guys, if you don't know where to find Katie, on Instagram it's PSU at the desk. If you go in their Instagram bio, you will see the link tree to their YouTube, to the articles that they made. Katie, thank you again for coming on and taking the time out to interview.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Really appreciate the time that you took out, and I'm excited to see where At the Desk goes.
Thank you.
So, for Style Points, I'm Dillon Styles, and until next time, stay stylish.